for fate.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're for Memphis.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my co-host, Devin. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the latest film that hit theaters this past weekend, Dear Evan Hansen. And joining us to cover this movie is our friend of the show, Jacob from MusicCityDriving.com. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday. Yeah, it's been a while since Jacob's been on the podcast. I know it's just been so long. Honestly, it feels like it.
Yeah, I can't remember what. I know I talked about Cherry, but I think that might have been the last time I was actually on.
I think it was, and then Hamilton. Well, that was last year. Speaking of Hamilton, I'm just joking. I'm done. I'm done rubbing it in because I rubbed it into Devin too. I was like, so what'd you think?
You rubbed it in that Hamilton conned people for 7 years.
A good variety special.
It's a variety special, a movie, a fucking TV show.
It's the best of both worlds.
A book.
It's part of.
They're going to go for the Pulitzer Prize later.
Honestly, though,
it's a high school project,
high school play. It's making its rounds. But no, it's all right. I'm just teasing around. But yeah, you guys have been having a good week so far. Just been chilling.
No complaints.
Yeah.
Same.
I've been watching Squid Game. You guys heard of this one on Netflix?
Squid Game. I have not.
It's a Korean TV show. It's really wild. It's kind of like Hunger Games.
Okay. Interesting.
I finished Sex Education.
No, did you?
Great.
I still got to watch that because I have so much to watch. Like, just finished Midnight Mass. We're going to be covering that here on the show within the next few days. Devin's like 2 episodes more that he has to do. I got to watch Lock and Key season 1 so I can cover season 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so much. And like, I mean, Sex Education, I love the show. So it's like,
yeah,
I got to watch season 3.
Season 3, Eric and Otis are the worst 2 characters. I'm just going to let you know now.
Oh,
they suck.
Oh man. I really just grown to that show like throughout the years. And I was waiting for season 3. I'm very, very excited.
Speaking of old people playing high schoolers, they're all like 28.
How noticeable is it?
It depends. Eric, the guy who plays Eric, he's 29 right now. And or he's 28 or 29. And I actually do think his is starting to get kind of noticeable, but they're all supposed to still be like juniors in high school.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Marty McFly, he was like, 28, 29 starting off. So
yeah, well, Marty McFly is a fictional character.
That's true.
You know what I meant. But yes, so before we begin today's topic, you can listen to our show on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. So before we get into our review of Dear Evan Hansen, we'll be back right after this short break.
Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day, and here's why.
Have you been doing those letters to yourself with Dr. Sherman?
I've been trying to. Have you ever felt like nobody was there?
All right, and we are back with our Dear Evan Hansen review. This is how it's going to work. Not Star Wars versions, because that's on the template itself, but I made a little few errors there. But the way it'll work, as always, we're going to give our first initial reactions of Dear Evan Hansen, and then once you hear this bad boy... Oh, hold on, let me try that again. There we go. Once you hear that, we're going to get into our spoiler section of Dear Evan Hansen. So if you haven't seen it yet, pack up the family, go watch it in theaters, come back and listen to the rest of the review. So,
although if you haven't seen the trailer, you pretty much have seen it. So
yes,
or the trailer too, I guess.
Literally, I've heard that so many times. Like just in the theater, anytime it played for any movie, I was there. Like I was excited to see it. But then everyone's like, well, I just feel like I watched the entire movie. I'm like,
it's one of the craziest examples I've seen, I feel like, of just the entire plot in the trailer.
Well, kind of, sort of, almost for the most part. Yeah. But it's like a 3.5 minute long trailer, isn't it? Something like that. Pushing around 3 minutes. Yeah, it is a long one. But I'm going to pass the torch over to our guest, Jacob, so we can give his initial thoughts on Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah. I'll get more into it when we start doing the spoiler stuff. Because I don't know about you two. I actually have seen the play and I've seen Ben's version of it. So I had a lot to base off of when it came to that. And, you know, it's one of those things. If you've seen the play, if you like the play, it's basically the exact same thing. They do change up the ending, which I loved. I loved this new ending. I thought it was way better. They do change the ending, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff is like ripped straight from the play. And there's even like there's a lot of stuff that might not work for everyone. And I'm interested to see if that worked for you guys. And I'll talk more about those later, but there's stuff that the play did that works on stage that they really tried to pull straight into screen that I don't think, as a movie, I don't think it works, but I think it works here because for people who have seen the play, if that like makes any sense. But yeah, I mean, it's emotional. It's, you know, its storyline is, you know, it's not the easiest pill to swallow. But it's one of those things where it's like, if this project reaches out and touches you, you'll like it. And if it doesn't, you won't. Like, it's a you like it or you don't type of thing. You know, for me, I've always been moved by the play, by the music. I've been moved for years. And I got the exact same feelings. I think it works better I think it works better in theater, theater. But I do still think it works pretty well on screen.
Okay. All right. Devin, on to you. I'm curious to hear Devin's thoughts.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite because I went in completely blind. I'd never really even heard of the play, really. I mean, maybe in passing, but didn't really know anything about it. So it's definitely an interesting story. That's kind of where I start. It's just kind of because going in blind, you kind of expect one thing. You expect it to be more of a story about like sexuality, maybe stuff like that. But then you kind of get this story and it just feels weird. But and it also started off behind the 8 ball with when the trailer first released and Ben Platt looked like he's 28 years old and the entire internet just clowned it. It's just kind of a rough start for it, I feel like, because it is definitely noticeable, at least for me, the age, for Ben Platt, at least. He looks so weird without the beard because he usually has a beard in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks.
Chop it off for the baby face.
Yeah, they tried at least.
So, like, for me, when I went to go see the movie, obviously, you know, I've seen the trailer 1,000 times, but it was weird because usually when I watch a trailer for like a movie a million times, it's like, oh yeah, there's that part. But like, there was still so much there, like underneath, like, you know, the iceberg that we didn't really see. At first, I will say I love the songs. I felt like they were pasted a little bit off because like for a second, like I knew it was a musical, but then like I forgot it was a musical.
There was a long period of time without a song from like the beginning to like the next song. Like the first song to the next one was like a long period of time.
Right. And I agree with Jacob because you know, for me, I've known people in my life who have taken their own life, including my past roommate. So this really did hit home for me, at least, and a few people growing up in my high school. So it really did, I guess, spark an interest in me. And it's an issue that's, you know, it's it's a very like weighted issue, but at the same time, you know, it's a touchy subject because not a lot of people, this doesn't really happen when it comes to film. And I feel like what Jacob was saying, you know, like if you love the play or if you have some kind of like connection towards this in any way, shape, or form, you're definitely going to find something that you like. But overall, I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, the pacing was off a little bit here and there. You know, no film is without its issues, but I didn't feel like he looked or felt out of place. Like his mannerisms, like even just his body type was that of like a scrawny high schooler. And I was like, this actually works. And obviously, you know, Ben Platt playing on Broadway, it just kind of makes sense. The same way as they had Abuela from In the Heights when she played the grandmother on Broadway, and you know they moved her over to the film adaptation. But you know, between Ben Platt, Kaitlyn Dever, I thought they had great chemistry together. Like, I mean, Kaitlyn Devers, I think she's like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, she's 24.
Like. Yeah, so I mean, she like the way like her line delivery and just, you know, the way like her mannerisms and everything were just quick and snappy, and just you really felt like, you know, she was missing her brother who had, you know, Connor, who had taken his own life. But,
do we want to get into spoilers? Because that's part of the movie that I definitely felt weird about.
For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning for Dear Evan Hansen. Again, that is your second spoiler warning for Dear Evan Hansen. So if you haven't seen the movie, pause the podcast, go watch it, come back, and tell us your thoughts on Twitter. So I know Devin really wants to get into it, so I guess we'll just dive right in.
It could be me just reading too much into it, but it just felt weird when Evan Hansen and Kaitlyn Dever become a thing, because it's kind of like the way I saw it. He's just kind of looking for a new family, and their family kind of like adopts him, kind of. So it's in a way like he's dating his sister a little bit.
Well, it's also like, and that was one of my biggest things from the play. And I think that that's a lot of people's big issues, which it's one of those things that like, it's so ingrained into the play that you can't remove it, because that changes so much of the movie and of like the story. But it is one of those things, because like you said, they become like his kind of like adoptive family. And also like this never would have happened if Connor didn't pass away. So it's like that kind of double issue thing. I like that the movie kind of made it quicker. In the play, it kind of, their relationship drags on for a little bit in the middle part. And in the movie, they kind of like got to the point where they were in the relationship, and then they like where people were noticing they were in the relationship, and everyone was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then they kind of just moved on from the relationship there. Which, you know, like Christian said, the pacing is very quick. But that's a lot like the play. I mean, it's like song to song to song. I think they played 3 songs. They did For Forever, and then Requiem, and then I can't remember the one after that, but they played like 3 like straight in a row, which again is another thing where it's like, if you don't like Broadway style of musicals, and if you don't like this story, it's going to be something that you just can't really like latch yourself onto.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Jacob. I've seen a lot of people, you know, we're on Twitter daily, and you know, people talking about like the age thing. We've kind of already covered that. I've seen a few people talk about how Evan didn't necessarily have like the consequences after the fact, you know, with him lying and whatnot. But it's like, it's weird because it wasn't necessarily like the right thing to do. But like, if we really think about it, you know, throughout the entire movie, you know, after Connor's passing, you know, all the kids in the high school, like automatically just want to be Zoe's friends, and, you know, like automatically, like, you know, she's interesting, and, you know, people really aren't giving, you know, they never really noticed Connor before, and now they're super interested in Zoe. And I think she even says it within the movie where she's like, yeah, like everyone suddenly wants to be my friend. And then Zoe's mom, played by Amy Adams, is like, oh, they're just being super nice and, they're looking for new friends. And she's like, I'm pretty sure they don't want to be my friend. But like in a weird way, Evan Hansen, even though he didn't know Connor, he was, besides his family, was the only person trying to keep Connor's memory alive for this family. And like, even if it meant like it being some kind of like weird, twisted, like beautiful lie, it's like, oh yeah, like I knew your son. It's more of like a comfort lie in a way, because he does try to tell them during the beginning after Connor's passing, when Connor takes the note from Evan for his therapist, that he didn't write it for, like, oh, your son didn't write this for me. You can kind of see in Amy Adams' performance where it's like she needed this for her son, because yeah, she knew her son, but she didn't really know her son the way that she wished that she did. And that's where I'm coming from, where it's like, I can kind of see why he went with this whole charade. And then, things got eventually better. Like his mom wasn't like the best person around. You see Evan's father is very absent from his life. And then it's kind of like, hey, well, I have this like new pseudo-esque family. And then this other relationship with Zoe kind of, evolves from that. Like that wasn't his main goal, his main goal wasn't to date Zoe. It was just a girl that he likes. But I will say, like in the movie where she kind of just asked to come over and she's like, oh, like I'd like you. And it's like, okay, I felt like there could have been a little bit of build up, but the movie was already 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah. It's just weird that he just kind of has this crush on her and we don't really know why. And he's like kind of being weird about it. And then she questions why she's mentioned in the letter. And then they kind of just toss that to the side. Like the letter says, I wish I knew you more or whatever. And it's like, if that's from your brother, it makes no sense.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's another one of those things that's like kind of just overlooked in the play as well. But I do agree. Like there are some moments that just seem like just kind of happen and you just kind of have to roll with the punches. And that definitely carries over into the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I guess when he was saying like, I wish I knew you more, I kind of took it as, Connor and Zoe were not close, like at all. And, you hear all these stories that Zoe was talking about with her mother about, going down to the train station, like visiting her brother. And it turns out he just wanted money. Like obviously he was like a very troubled soul. I guess I took it more as, I wish I knew you more from a brother, like from a, sibling type of way. But I mean, I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but that's how I took it, because I kind of took the letter as, yeah, it could have been for Evan's therapist to him, but the way that it was crafted, I felt like it could have been interpreted in multiple ways, but that's just me.
I just found it weird that she questioned it and then just kind of
yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not saying like the movie's definitely not perfect, but I guess a lot of things I've had like to think about with this movie and watching it for a second time. And I was like, I don't know. I understand, like Jacob said, like it's not for people, but I feel like people are giving it like a little too much hate, but not every film is for everyone. So
how do we feel about oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say like my big thing is, I definitely understand, like, again, I understand people not liking it. What really upsets me is how many people are like going on Twitter saying like feeling bad that they did like it. Because I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, I didn't hate Dear Evan Hansen. Like, I don't know like what to feel or whatever. And it's like, it's one of those things where I do think the message of Dear Evan Hansen is like a positive one. And like you said, with Evan, it's one of those things where like their family needed something from their son because they clearly didn't have anything. And Evan just didn't want to be the one, in the beginning. Of course it spiraled out of control, but in the beginning he just didn't want to be the one to be like, no, like you guys have nothing, like that's it, like
right.
And so like I definitely like understand the issues. I just don't think if this movie like spoke to you, or if you like actually felt something from this movie, I just don't think that you should have to feel bad for liking it and when it comes from it. And so that's just one thing I've been noticing.
Yeah, I agree. And I've noticed that a lot on Twitter as well, Jacob. Like I forgot who it was. Someone's like, oh my gosh, like it's like every single time I saw someone on Twitter saying, oh, I'm about to watch Evan Hansen, like they looked like they're, like all nervous and, like, oh, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, God, let's dial it back here a little bit. Like, you're going to go watch the movie. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you do, that's awesome too. But yeah, I have seen people where it's like, oh my gosh, like I belong in the 1% camp that people liked Dear Evan Hansen. And it's like, we're not saying it's a perfect movie. Like obviously there are, other movies that we've seen this year that we've liked even more, but it really does have that important message that a lot of films don't cover. And I mean, I just think it's really important, and it's just something we should talk about more. And it sucks that, you have like, I guess, I don't know, people from like the production team or whoever it was saying that, early reactions were kind of disappointing. And it's a special kind of movie for, certain people. And, there isn't like, you can't really sell someone on this movie. Like if I wanted to like sell someone on, I feel like I can sell someone on Dune more than I can sell someone on Dear Evan Hansen, like 100% or anything else, or hell, like Harry Potter or like Lord of the Rings, at least giving it a chance. But yeah, everyone I saw just online, like, oh, like I'm about to go watch it. Like, what's going to happen? I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. I'm just a little disappointed that's such an important topic. People, obviously people who are in this space and who review these movies are going to, but I'm curious to see what the oh my gosh, the general audience is going to think about it. Aside from critics, that's what I'm more curious about. But
yeah. No, I agree. And I definitely, it's one of those things where like going into it, I knew that it had, general audiences will eat this thing up type of potential. After watching it, I still think general audiences will be mostly positive, but I also can see a world where it's so theater specific that, if you're not a theater kid and you really don't like feel something from this, you might not enjoy the movie as much. Cause theater kids are going to love it. This is like, Citizen Kane to theater kids.
For sure.
And so,
almost like In the Heights in the way. Cause
it's one of those things I am interested as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
For Jacob, since he's seen the play. It feels like the Connor Murphy character, we don't really get much time with him in the beginning. He kind of just yells at his face and then does the cast signing. I was just wondering if the play is any different with how much time you get.
So in the play, so the director of Dear Evan Hansen, Stephen Chbosky, he wanted to change the story up a little bit and introduce everyone through Evan's like perspective. So everyone was introduced in the movie from Evan's point of view. In the play, it's not like that. That's one of the songs that was removed. Anybody have a map? Does anybody have a map? That song was like the introduction song where you really like figure out who these characters are and what they're like. It's actually a really good song and a really fun song if you want to go listen to it. And it might give you a little bit more backstory into Connor as well. Just because it has like Connor at home, not being the best kid at home, stuff like that. And then also Connor has another song called Disappear in the play where it's more about like, what if Connor had disappeared, that kind of thing, where he does get a little bit more there's a little bit more growth into his character in the front half. But I did, and again, it's like I said, the ending of the play, which this is like a massive spoiler, the ending of the play, it goes from Words Fail, which is like the super emotional song, to Julianne Moore's song, So Big, So Small. And then after that, it kind of just like there's one scene and then it just goes to the ending at the apple orchard. Like there's like, it's like right after that, it's basically done. Mm-hmm. Where I was like, I liked in the movie that they actually took that time to expand on Connor's character a little bit in the back half. And they kind of took, and again, going back to what Christian was saying, where, you know, a lot of people are saying there's no consequences, where like, I really feel like in the play, Evan wasn't forced to grow as much as a person. He just kind of like everything happened and then it kind of ended and everyone moved on, where it's like in the movie, I do think he was forced to, at the end, like actually grow as a person and, you know, really learn about Connor's life, not just learn about this fictitious life that he thought of, learn about Connor as a person and really figure it out and figure him out. And that way he could provide true memories of Connor's life to his family. And I really did like the ending of this. So that's the one thing that I'm like, I would take 10 times out of 10 over the play is the ending. I thought the ending was much more thought out, much more well done in this. But yeah, in the play, Connor has a lot more to do in the front half.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And there's a little bit more characterization.
Yeah, because I really liked the actor that played him. I thought he did a really good job in that. Yeah, in the dead guy dance scene, I guess you could call it. As weird as that was, I thought he was like really entertaining in that. So I just kind of found myself like wanting more of his character in the beginning. Maybe that payoff at the end would have been a little bit more impactful.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah. I think if you,
no, you're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think if you actually like the story and you want to, if you actually like the story and if you want to like actually learn more about Connor's character, you can maybe go back and just listen to the Broadway versions of Anybody Have a Map and Disappear, and you can kind of pick up more characterization through that. And again, that's another thing where I'm like me being someone who has seen the play, knows all the song by heart. Like I know Connor's characterization going into the movie, where it might be a little bit harder for, you know, a general audience who has never seen the play to really pick up on Connor throughout what the movie gives us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree there. And what Jacob was saying about the consequences, it's like I definitely feel like, I mean, with everything with Connor, I feel like there could have been a little bit more growth for sure within the movie. But like we said, you know, it's already 2 hours and 15 minutes. And even within the Heights, I believe they cut out at least one song from the play, because it's like, you know, as much as they would love to include every single song, it's, you know, the pacing for a play is totally different from pacing for a movie. So it's like, oh, what just happened? It's all right. But yeah, for the consequence, I feel like at least in the movie, I have been listening to a few songs from the original Broadway cast, but I feel like he has some pretty big consequences. You know, everything that happened with Connor and Zoe's family, and you know, like not being able to be a part of that anymore. Obviously, you know, when Zoe finds out that he lied. You know, they're not together anymore. I would be more skeptical that they got back together towards the end of the movie, because it's like, okay, but like obviously she's in her own space. Like, you know, we don't know how much time it really passed between him lying and then him trying to at least learn about Connor and how, you know, the song with the guitar, which was, I thought was really, really great. You know, how he kind of went out of his way to find that and kind of show everyone like, hey, you know, this is who Connor really was. This is how we should remember him. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I could go all day, but it's like, you know, everything with Connor's, not Connor's mom, but Evan and his mom, that whole thing, like that was pretty powerful too. So it was very,
there's like my favorite part.
There's one song that happened. So the scene where Evan and his mom like argue outside of
Zoe's
the Murphy house.
Yeah, the Murphy house.
In the play, there's a song that his mom sings there called "Good for You," and it's incredible. That was the most upsetting song that actually got pulled. In my eyes, they got pulled from because there were 4 songs that got pulled. Anybody Have a Map, Disappear, Break in a Glove, and Good for You. And that was the one where I was like, I really would have loved Julianne more to sing that one. Because it's a really like aggressive, like it's one of the first times where you kind of like sense that Connor's going down like not the best path. Because like she just really opens up like as a mom, like, I'm literally doing everything I can, but sorry, I can't provide for you. And it just expands on that kind of like that kind of back and forth that they have.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was really great. Jacob was able to join us here today because, it was a lot of crazy scheduling going on.
We need that knowledge
for all the nice listeners out there. But yeah,
because wasn't the, didn't they add one song to like a new one for Stenberg's character?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they added 2. They added the anonymous ones was brand new. They actually really, really expanded on Amanda Stenberg's character.
I really
Alana.
liked that character.
They expanded on her a lot, and they added Colton's song at the end, which of course, like I said, like the ending is like 1,000 times different in the movie than it is in the play. But yeah, they added those 2 songs. I will say, like, Alana is one of the biggest things that got buffed in this movie. I think they really dove into her character more, and Amanda Stenberg, helped write the song. So if it's nominated for an Oscar, she gets an Oscar nom. So
nice.
That's really cool. But yeah, that's one of them. They really some of the other things I noticed. They really dive into the fact that Evan actually has depression, where in the play, you just kind of in the play, there's a lot of things you assume because you can only see what's happening in front of you. Whereas like in the movie, you can of course do different cuts and like close-ups and stuff like that. Where in the movie, they really dive into the fact that he has depression more than what the play does. The play, you just kind of assume he has depression, anxiety, stuff like that. You assume it is because you're told, where in the movie, you're actually shown that he has to take pills and he, has anxiety and stuff like that. And then another thing they really did, dove more into was Evan's, failed suicide attempt, was him jumping out of the tree.
Is that a common form of attempted suicide?
I have no idea. I just know, that of course he worked there over the summer, and then it was just one thing, one thing after another. But yeah, in the play, it kind of is alluded to him, telling his mom that he tried to commit suicide. But in the movie, it really kind of goes more into it. And I think it, in my eyes, it gives Evan's character a more human feel that he is this fucked up. He is this broken as a person. And so those are 2 of the biggest things, aside from Alana and the ending, that I noticed that were different. But there also were a lot of things that were super similar. And see, this is another thing that works because of the play. And it's the scene where he's about to sing "You Will Be Found," and he drops the note cards and knocks the mic over. That's straight from and that's a very pivotal moment on stage. And so little things like that where if you watch the film, it could look super forced that he dropped the note cards and knocked the thing over. But if you've seen the play, it's I get this is what happens. I
imagine it's much more powerful on stage because he actually does.
Yeah, he's right in the faces of the people in the front row.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting because sorry.
He can't hear anything. Say whatever we want.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dear Christian Hansen.
Yeah, I just dropped my own my headphones by messing around with them. But yeah, overall, just to wrap this up, because I don't want to take too much of Jacob's time. He's got a screening to get to. So overall, I enjoyed it. Like overall, and we're definitely going to get into ratings here in a second. It's just final thoughts from me. It's everything that I kind of hoped it was going to be, but it really just spoke to me in like a lot of different ways. And I definitely plan on picking this one up on Blu-ray. 2021 has been a really big year for musicals. I mean, we have Tick, Tick, Boom coming out later this year as well. We have Encanto. We had In the Heights earlier this year as well. And we also have West Side Story, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it's a really big year for musicals.
Cinderella.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I watched somebody make fun of it on YouTube. And that's all I needed.
Did you watch it, Jacob?
No, I didn't watch it. I might get around to watching parts of it, but I just can't do it. I've heard awful things.
Yeah, and like just seeing a lot of that stuff, I was like, I mean, I'll watch it just to say that I watched it. If anyone asks me about it, I can let them know, but it's not like an urgent thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, really, really big year for musicals here in the year 2021. Hopefully, I feel like it is becoming more of a trend. I don't want to become like, I don't think it's going to hit the level of like, more so like superhero movies or anything like that. But a nice, film adaptation of like a musical here or there could be pretty nice, not going to lie.
And I think there's so many. I'm like super big into like a music. I've listened to like 17 different musicals over the past like week. I've had people like make me playlists and, I think there's a lot of musicals that, could be brought to screen, and there's a lot that probably shouldn't be brought to screen. Mm. And so it should be interesting, like in the future, seeing which ones are made and which ones aren't at the same time. And so I am like really, because I have lots of thoughts, and I'm working on like a giant article of which ones I and some other people think should be brought to screen. So that's just a little plug for future.
Okay. Nice. All right. Any last thoughts, Devin, before we get into scores?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention Ben Platt's performance. I was pleasantly surprised by it because he doesn't have like a giant filmography. Like he's been in a few things over the years, but I thought he did really well, especially towards the end with the emotional scenes.
Yeah, and the live music, live performance, like on stage. That was something Jacob had told me before. I was like, it felt like it was, but I wasn't sure when I was watching it. I'm like, I think they're doing this like live. I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
So there was an interview that Ben did, I think with like Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel, one of the Jimmys, where he was saying that like one of the first things they filmed was Words Fail, and that a lot of the crew didn't know what the movie was or what they were getting themselves into. And he said like after he finished like his first half of like Words Fail, that everyone was just silent. And it is, I mean, it's one of those things where like, so like, it's like I said, like Dear Evan Hansen is like the normie theater kid, like play, like every theater kid in the world has seen or knows the songs to Dear Evan Hansen, but they also do because it like as a play, it is like that good. Ben Platt's performance in the play has like he's the youngest solo Best Actor winner like of Tony's history.
Wow.
He was 23 when he won the Tony for Best Actor, and he beat like some pretty, like I'm pretty sure he beat like Josh Groban and some pretty like high named people. And but see, that's the thing, like a lot of the critics in the beginning when they saw the play like called his performance like actually historic, like said he gave like one of the best play performances ever. And a lot of people say Words Fail as a song, which like it was pulled off so great, and it was so different because in the theater he had to be a lot more aggressive with it. just because he had to belt out to an entire audience, where in the movie he was able to be a little more restrained with it until that moment came. But like a lot of people say Words Fail is one of like the hardest climax songs that like is in play history. And so it is one of those things where, like, again, I get Ben Platt's a little bit older, but you're also like believing that these people are going to break out into song in the middle of like a sentence and that everyone's just going to agree with it. So it's like, if you can suspend disbelief enough that like people are just going to break out into song, I think you can suspend disbelief enough that he's a high schooler, because I mean, his performance really does speak for itself. And it spoke for itself on Broadway, and I still think it speaks for itself now. It's, you know, it's just supernatural, and it really shows how talented he is, like as a performer and as a, especially as a singer.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that 100%. It's like Star Wars when people were complaining about Last Jedi saying, oh, you know, you can't drop bombs in space. There's no gravity. And I was like, okay, do you know what Star Wars is? It's like, there's so many, you know, you have to have suspense of disbelief with a lot of different things. And this is not the first time this has happened with any property, you know, with Spider-Man, and then with Michael J. Fox, with Marty McFly, and even Katniss Everdeen, things like.
I mean, you go back and you look at Glee, you know, Corey Monteith was 3 years younger than Matthew Morrison in Glee. And Matthew Morrison was supposed to be like this teacher, and Corey was supposed to be like a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
That show is so cursed. Literally.
And it's like, but see, that's the thing. Like, everyone loves that show, and everyone can like appreciate that show for what it is, which I will say, that is one thing. I do wish there was a little bit more color to Dear Evan Hansen. I thought it was a little too kind of grounded. And I really do think that like a little bit brighter colors could have kind of pulled a like better look to the movie as well. But yeah, I mean, you get things like Glee, you get things like Friday Night Lights when Tim Riggins was, you know, actually 29 playing a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
So it just bothers me that people act like Ben, who's like, from what it seems like, is a very just nice person overall.
Oh, yeah.
That they'll attack him, but they won't attack people who, you know, star in West Side Story, who
Grease even.
Yeah. So it's just like, it bothers me that people act like he's the first person to ever do it, but
yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah, I agree for sure. What with all that said, again, Jacob, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely have to have you on more frequently in the future. I know it's been crazy, but let's give our final ratings for Dear Evan Hansen and get out of here. And I guess we'll start with Jacob, and then we'll go to Devin, and then I'll end it off.
What do you want me to go by?
If you want to go by your Letterboxd, we usually do ABC. Well, actually, Devin's kind of been doing his own thing on Letterboxd. I gave it.
I don't like the letters, letter grades.
You like the letter grades?
I don't like the letter.
You don't
grades.
like? Okay. Well, yeah. So, however you feel, you know, best is to rate it.
Okay. So right now I'm stuck. I'm at a B plus. I am going to go see it again tonight, and then see it again tomorrow, and then see it again, I think this weekend in IMAX.
Oh, IMAX. Nice.
Because, yeah, it's only going to be in IMAX for a week.
Oh,
and so
see it.
I'm going to try to see it a couple more times, and then my rating could change. But right now I'm at a B plus. Again, you know, it didn't do everything I wanted it to do. But it really did its best at trying to capture the play in the movie. I still loved all the songs. I still thought all the songs were performed and portrayed incredibly emotionally and just as beautiful as ever. I thought the entire supporting cast was really good. I thought Kaitlyn Dever was good. Julianne Moore was good. And Amy Adams was good.
Even the father.
I thought they were all great.
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like, again, I'm dressing up to go see this tonight I'm like one of few press who's seeing it at like a fan screening, and I'm dressing up to see it tonight. Like, it's one thing that like I like love this, and I've loved the story. I felt like an emotional connection to the story for a long time, but I can also understand that like some people don't, and I really do get that it's not going to be for everyone. And if you don't like it, like, it's like Christian said, it's hard to like sell people on it. And so it's one of those things to where like I love it. I really liked it. I of course rated it high, but I do understand if you don't like it. I want people to go in and really just don't like focus on what the critics are saying. Don't focus on what the audience is saying. Don't focus on, like, even for the most part, like, don't focus on what we're saying. Just take it all with a grain of salt. Just go see it for yourself. And, if you like it, you like it. Like, don't let anyone, tell you any differently or like bully you out of it. Like, just go see the movie and, make your own decision.
Yeah. Devin, what about you?
Yeah, I know I said quite a few somewhat negative things throughout, but there were quite a few positives I had as well. I actually got emotional in the Julianne Moore song at the end. I forgot what it was called, but
So Big, So Small.
Yeah, that one got me at the end. And like I said, I liked Ben Platt's performance. There's just certain parts of the general overall story that it was hard for me to buy into. So as far as that goes, I was gonna give it like a 68. Because when I give it a number, it sounds so much better than saying a D plus.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's very true.
Because like a 6 or 7 for me. Yeah, but like a 6 or 7 like sounds like, I mean, it's pretty decent. Like,
because like a 7 for one movie could be a 7 for a different movie. I feel like, I don't know, but yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I'm all over the place. I usually try to give my Letterboxd score now.
Yeah, I didn't love it, but I definitely understand why people would love it. I really support the overall messaging of the movie, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As of right now, I'm sitting at like a solid B. I think that's about 3.5 stars on Letterboxd.
It is.
So it's, you can definitely, I really liked it. I don't know what else to say. I just like, it was emotional for me. It really, really was, things have happened in my life, and just having that emotional connection to it. It just, I like, Jacob said, like, just form your own opinion. If anything, just as long as you understand, what's trying, to unfold before your eyes. Honestly, I think the film does a great job of that, and just to form your own opinion. That's all I can say, because you see so many movies nowadays where, like, we're talking about it here, on the show, but these are just our thoughts. We're not here to tell you guys to go see a movie or not. Honestly, any movie that we review or any series that we review on the podcast, I think everyone should at least try to watch it, regardless if you like it or not, because something that we may not like, you might end up loving yourself. It happens with a lot of podcasts I listen to. I don't agree with everything that they say, but doesn't mean I'm going to stop listening to them just because our thoughts don't align on like Shang-Chi or, I don't know, The Conjuring 3 or whatever. But, just have fun with it, and, go into it with, your own thoughts and your own thoughts alone. So
I'm just glad we didn't get that fake baby filter de-aged cut.
That tweet.
Yeah. I'm so glad that was like fake, like overall.
I showed Jacob. He's like, I'm pretty sure that's fake, Christian.
I was really hoping it was.
God. Thank God. But yeah, really quick, wanted to go around, give Jacob a chance to plug his stuff, where everyone can find you on the internet, and what interesting pieces you have coming up.
Yeah, you can find me online at musiccitydrivein.com. I also write over at hiddenremote.com. I just posted a thing about Sex Education Season 3, actually. And I've got a, review of Evan Hansen coming probably tomorrow. Like I said, I've got a couple more articles in the work, including, a big musical article that I'm going to be doing with Nicole Ackman of Next Best Picture. So that'll be out soon. Other than that, yeah, I just got just a few stuff I'm working on. And, I got, like I said, I got some more pieces over at Hidden Remote that I've got to come out too. So, just keep up with me on Twitter. I'm at tberry57 and you can find everything there.
Yeah. And you can also find Jacob's information in the description of the podcast notes below. And for us, definitely check out our Marvel's What If episode 7 review that we dropped on Wednesday or Thursday. And then we also have our Midnight Mass review that should be up on the channel already, since we're kind of, but and we also have our Venom review coming out October 4th. So we're going to do that the weekend after it hits theaters, just to give people a little bit of what is Jacob doing? Oh my gosh. Changing up the template there. But that pretty much wraps it up for here today. So let's get out of here. Your best and most. Obviously it's all right. Your best friend. Me. There we go. So yeah, let's get out of here, and we'll see you guys next time. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys next time.